We'll begin with just the Pokemon. We have Joltik, of course, and we play 2 of those in the deck. And we only really need 2 because you just need 1 at the start, and then possibly if you were to evolve 1, because we only play 2 evolutions, but we'll get to that in a second. And our main thing of the deck is Miraidon. We'll play 2 Miraidon EX. Miraidon is here to get out our Joltik, and then our other 2 attackers, which are Pikachu and Iron Hands. Iron Hands has the Ampu very much to get us another prize on single prizers, or sometimes knock out a Squawkabilly for 3 prizes. And then Pikachu's here to get the big knockouts with 300 damage, and he's really good. And so Miraidon will help get out our other Pokemon. So when you use Miraidon's ability, it gets everything out right away. We play, for the evolutions of Joltik, we'll play a Galvantula, which with its ability, if you attach a grass and an electric, you get to do 180 damage, and that's a lot of damage, especially since it's a grass type. It doubles in weakness and one-shots Charizard and can one-shot Grimmsnarl, which is now in the meta. We then have Galvantula EX, which we currently don't have, but its Fulgurite can do, it's basically like a Budew, but 180 damage. And the top attack is mainly what we use, and if they're an EX, it does 220 damage, so it can knock out like Teal Mask Ogrepon or other similar Pokemon, like even a Fez. And it's an easy 2 prize, and you can just evolve a Joltik real quick, attach 1 more energy, and then take a knockout on something. So we'll play those 2 to evolve from Joltik. And then we have, I like to pair them, the 3 Psychics. We have Clefairy EX to help with Dragapult, making it so it's weak to Psychic and then healing double. And then Latias with, since they're all basics except for those 2, we have free retreat. And then Muse, also a free retreater if Latias isn't there, but mainly for its ability to draw up to 3 cards in our hand. And then the 2 helpers Pokemon are, we have Pheasantipity EX to draw cards when stuff has been knocked out. And then when we're getting close to endgame, we can use Blood Moon or Saluna to do 240 for just 1 or possibly 2 energy. So you can Crispin up to it or just hand attach, and it's a quick attacker. So these are all the Pokemon we'll play in the deck, and this works smoothly as the deck is curated to my playstyle and how I like it. Some people will play only 1 Pikachu, some people won't play the Galvantula EX, but this works, and I'm able to climb the ladder online with it, and it works really well. But this is all for the Pokemon. We'll get to the trainers now. For trainers, we have quite a lot, so we'll break it into 3 categories. We'll go supporters first, and then items. So first with supporters, we play Arven, of course, and we'll be playing 4 Arven because they will help get our tools out, which we play a lot of tools, and it gets us any item we need. So if we need a nest ball or whatever, having an Arven in your starting hand going second really sets you up for the rest of the game, because then you can nest ball for a Miraidon or get whatever you need for your other Pokemon, and maybe you're getting an Ultra Ball for an evolution. Arven is definitely a key supporter in here, and you definitely need the full count 4 of them. Next up, we have Crispin, which allows us to accelerate energy faster. We'll just play the 3 of them, not 4. Some lists will play 4, but this one works well. And if you save some for later game, because of our different types of energies, you're able to use them in the later game as well to then power up maybe an Ursaluna or something if you don't have an energy in hand already. So Crispin works, and we'll run 3 of those because it helps with loading up Pikachu and other Pokemon that Joltik can't always load up by itself. We'll then play 1 Iono to mess with our opponent's hands and to kind of help our own hands. And we don't need too many Iono in the deck because we'll get specific cards with Arven and specific energy with Crispin. So we don't need a whole lot of Iono because we'll be taking prizes with Iron Hands and Pikachu, and so we don't want to Iono ourselves down to a low hand. So we'll just play the 1, and then for the last 3, we'll be doing 3 Boss's Orders. You know what Boss's Orders does, and sometimes you can do 4, just so you can Iron Hands a lot and get whatever you want up and then knock it out for 2 prizes. But 3 works because of our ace spec, and our ace spec is Prime Catcher. So we'll be playing Prime Catcher, so we basically have a 4th boss, and it works. Especially since we have free retreat with Latias, we can just Prime Catcher whenever we want, because then we can retreat into whatever attacker we want to use. So Prime Catcher and the 3 boss works pretty well, and it's good there. It's not a supporter, but that's our ace spec. We'll get on to the regular items now. For regular items, we'll start with Search, and we begin with 4 Nest Ball. We want to play the highest count because we can get most of everything we have is basic, and so we just want to get what we need whenever. We can't use Buddy Buddy, even though we'll get Joltik out. It's not the best because Joltik is... We want to start with Joltik, and Miraidon could get Joltik out, so it's better just Nest Balling for a Miraidon than playing any Buddy Buddy Poffin, and it's not useful enough for the deck. So 4 Nest Ball is good, and then we'll play 4 Ultra Ball as well, because it helps us to thin our hand if we want to use Mew, because we don't always use every Pokemon or every attacker. Sometimes we only need Iron Hands, sometimes we can't use Iron Hands at all, and so we're just using Pikachu, so we can Ultra Ball away our Iron Hands to get a thinner hand, then draw with Mew, and Ultra Ball really helps with the deck and just helps cycle through things. Next, we'll play 1 Earthen Vessel to help with energy. While we have the 3 Crispin, we do want to hand attach every so often in case we're not able to play Crispin, like on our first turn or something, so we can Earthen Vessel for energy when we need. Then we'll play 1 recovery card, the Super Rod, which will help us, which will help us get things back when we need. Usually energies, because of Pikachu EX discarding all of it. Super Rod will get all our energies back into the deck, and it helps us so we don't run out of resources. We'll play 2 Pokegear then to help with finding supporters. Now, Pokegear varies between many lists of the Miraidon Joltik box because it's finding the supporters, and since supporter counts vary so much, playing your Pokegear really depends on your own style and how much you prefer to have it. I find that 2 works because that basically is like 6 Arven, or you have 5 Crispin, and it helps you just search out whatever you need. And it's usually to find an Arven at the start of the game when you don't have one. And so 2 works, so you basically have like 6 Arven in the deck, and works well. And it also can find a boss whenever you need. That's it for items. And lastly, we have tools. For our tool cards, set these down real quick. For our tool cards, we have quite a bit of them. We'll be playing 6 tools, beginning with 2 Bravery Charm. It keeps both our Joltik safe, and if you want to Bravery Charm onto the Fez or onto Iron Hands so it doesn't get knocked out by like Teal Mask, you can put it on any of your Pokemon, and it just keeps them alive so they don't die. What I'll usually do is Arven at the start of the game to get a Bravery Charm and then like a Nest Ball or something, and then I'll Bravery Charm the Joltik in the active while it attacks so that they don't like one-shot it with like Budu Monkey Dory or something. Something crazy like that. So Bravery Charms help to keep our things alive and keep our Pokemon in play. We have 1 rescue board for retreating, because sometimes we can't get Latias out just because we don't have the resources in hand, like a Nest Ball or whatever. And so you need like rescue board, whatever you started with. Maybe you started with a Fez and you need a rescue board it away. The rescue board is pretty needed in the deck for those situations. Otherwise, you're kind of screwed. we'll be playing 1 Power Glass to help with Pikachu, or if you're taking slow to load up an Iron Hands. It helps keep the energy out of the discard pile because we only play 1 recovery card, which is a Super Rod. And then we'll play a Vitality Band, which helps us with Duraludon. When our Iron Hands do 120, they now do 130. Or with Pikachu, if it does 300, now does 310, so it can knock out other Pokemon like Gardevoir. And so it helps with Iron Hands and Pikachu, evening out damage between things when in certain situations. And I guess it's 5 items because we have our 1 Stadium, the Area 0 Underdepths, which, because we play the Terra Pokemon of Pikachu's, as long as we have one of the Pikachu's on the board, we can fill up our board then and have as many resources as we want. Because we have so many supporter Pokemon and attackers, it helps us to then use what we need to and get a full bench. So you can have like Latias, Mew, Fez, load up an Ursaluna, and still have your Miraidon from earlier with the Pikachu Iron Hands and a Joltik. And so you can just have everything you need on the board if you have an Area 0. It's great when your opponent plays one too, because then you don't have to use your single copy and find it somehow, and you just get a full bench. Do be careful though, because Area 0 can help them. Like if you're playing Raging Bolt, maybe don't play the Area 0 unless you absolutely need to. So that's it for items in our stadium. And the last thing we need to cover is energy, since we play quite a good amount of energy in here. So to begin, we need 5 electric energy, because we need all we can. We have Miraidon, possibly, but we have Joltik, and then we have Iron Hands and Pikachu, and they all need electric types. And the Galvantula also uses electric, as well as grass, so we need 5 grass as well. And mainly we play 5 and 5 because of how Joltik attacks, because you can search out 2 and 2, and then if you need to again, you can search out 2 and 2 and just have the 1s left in your deck. But usually we only end up doing it once, but sometimes it does happen twice, and so we want to play 5-5, and that way we have enough energy at all times, as long as you don't prize an absurd amount of them. And so we'll play those. And then for Pikachu, we have 2 iron energy. For Clefairy, we play 2. Sometimes you'll play 1, but 2 works better in case you prize 1, because if you prize 1 and you need to use Clefairy and Dragapult, it's going to be rough. And so you want to play 2 just in case. It also lets you attack with Latias for whatever reason you need to, in case that happens. And then for our last energy, the fighting energy for Galvantula's Fulgurite attack, because he needs a fighting energy. Because we play 5 different types, the 3 Crispin come in handy to then apply late game. Maybe you haven't used the Psychics yet, or all of your electric and grass, and so Crispin works because we have 5 different types, and he works really well. So that's all the energy. Now we'll go over a practice hand with the deck to see how you want to play at the start of the game. Alright, so let's say you had your hand and you're starting the game. You get 4, 7 for your starting hand. And let's say you had this as your starting hand. So we do have a basic, so we would throw down our 6 prize cards real quick. Here's our 6. Those would be our prize cards. So for our starting hand, we'd have these. And we've had the 2 energy, we've got the 3 Pokemon, so this is good. We would want to do, if we were going first or second, so we'll see. We'll say tails, we're going first. So it's heads. So let's say we're going second, which is good in this case. You want to go second with here. Because we're going second, they can't really hit us on our first turn. So we'll drop Joltik down in the active, and you want to play that. And then just in case something happens, you'll lay down Iron Hands. And so this is how they would go first then, and then it'd be our turn, and we would draw for first turn. It's good for the energy. So we want to play either the grass or the electric onto Joltik. In this case, I would probably go grass because we can use the electric to power up Iron Hands in this case. But since we just have Boss and Crispin, and there's no way to get Miraidon out, we would just have to use Joltik to fully power up our Iron Hands. And so what we'd probably do is not play Crispin yet, and we would just use Joltik to search out the 4 and power up Iron Hands. And that's how this game would work. And when you search for the energy by using Joltik Tic-Tac, that's when you would prize check to check what you have in the prizes. So in this case, for our prizes, we'd have a lot of our supporters, which would kind of suck. But we would check, do we have all 3 boss? You don't really need to check the nest balls and ultra balls because we play so many of them, but you would check if you have your 1 super rod and your tool cards that you need. And then we'd notice we're missing an Arven and a Crispin, and then we might not be able to find our 1 Iono, but we usually don't check for that. It's kind of just here. So that's how you would play your first turn with this. We'll run through one more. Okay, we'll grab our 7-card hand, put that aside. Now with our hands, let's say we're going first because we went second last time. So going first now, we would play a little bit different. First off, we'd mulligan. So we'll grab our 7. How many Pokemon we play, you'd think you wouldn't mulligan. Okay, there we go. We made up for it. So we have both Joltiks. So Miraidon would only be using to get out Pikachu. It's a good thing we have energy, though, for the Joltiks. Since we have 2, in this case, you could play 1 to the active and then have this one ready. So since you're going first, let's grab our 6 prize cards. 4, 5, 6. We'll lay those aside. Now with this hand, you would play Joltik to the active, have Iron Hands down, the other Joltik down, and then you could put Miraidon, or you could save it for a sec, but I'd save it because you're going first anyways. So we'd go first, draw our 1 card. It's Pikachu. Didn't even have to use Miraidon, so we can save that bench space, drop Pikachu down, and then load up an energy, probably not on here yet, because since we're going to be going first, if they knock it out, then we've lost an energy. So it's probably better, since we have 2, to attach them to one of our bench Pokemon, because then we're good and we don't have to worry about like losing an energy. So before placing it on Joltik, we'd probably want to go on Iron Hands or on this Joltik, but not the active one. And so in this case, I'd probably go here. And so if they Iono us and we don't get any energy, we at least have 1 on Joltik and we don't have to worry about it. And so that's how you do your first turn. You then pass, and then the following turn you draw. With this hand, this is actually pretty good because we could attach here and then use the Ultra Ball here to then get Mew. And with Mew, we'd place Mew down, draw another 3 cards, and then go from there. And then power up Pikachu and Iron Hands with Joltik. So this is how you'd play Joltik. It's very turbo. It's get your Pokemon out, get the energy on the board, and just go. And just start attacking them. So Joltik box is really good at starting it up and getting your engine running. Just make sure you have all your pieces and you keep track of your resources, and you will do wonderfully.